Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Good evening,
evening.
sir.
Good evening,
Good evening,
guys.
sir.
Yeah,
Good
good
evening,
evening,
sir.
guys, and welcome to yet another session on JavaScript. We are discussing the basic data types in JavaScript. We have already discussed the basic data types like uh, undefined and numbers and strings and the other sort of data types available in your JavaScript. And right now we are discussing the reference data types. So the reference data types are mostly arrays and functions. So we are going to focus on arrays and functions in this particular session. So the agenda of this session is to discuss reference data types. Okay. Now, first of all, we'll focus on these arrays. So arrays is nothing but a collection of certain data types. So we have already seen basic data types like numbers. We have already seen basic data types like string. Now, what if I want to have these data types or the elements in at some higher extent? Suppose I want 3 to 4 data types or numbers to collect all together. If I want 3 to 4 strings to collect all together. Now the possible solution to this thing is getting a particular array or creating a sort of array. Now with the array, I can combine all these things all together. With the array, I can combine all these things all together. Now here you can see the basic representation of array, and it is represented as, in the similar way we'll take a variable. In the same context, we are going to take array also. You will take a keyword right here, it is indicated like variable. So I'll take this particular keyword called as var, and the name that we provide to any particular variable, in this same context we are going to give the name to our array as well. Here is, you can see in the second part we have given the name of that particular array. Now this particular array is capable to have more than two or more than two elements at a time. We can take different elements, we can combine them. Now arrays have the capability to combine all such kind of things. So basic question in front of me is it possible for me to have numbers array, strings array, the undefined and other sort of data types array? The answer is yes. You can combine all these kind of arrays all together. And if I'm going to combine all these sort of elements all together, possibly the name to them would be given as array. Possibly the name to them would be given as array. Now, if it is going to be an array, if it is going to be an array, the basic question that is in front of all of us is that how we are going to recognize each and every member. Now, suppose if I consider this example, and in this example, there are members. Like if I consider the first array, which is indicated by the name of colors, which is indicated with the name of colors. Now this colors array has three different members inside it. First member is red, second member is green, and third member is blue. Okay. So what do you think? These three members which are written here, we have written them in double quote. What is the possible reason? What is the possible reason we have
It
written
is
them in
string.
double quote? Yes, very good. That is a string, and that's why we have written in double quote. JavaScript removes the restriction of quotes. Even you can write them in single quote also. Okay. Now, there are three different members. One is red, other one is green, and last one is blue. So how to work over these three members and how to understand that the exact position of this element inside this array? For that, your arrays provide a different kind of adjustment, and that adjustment is probably called as indexes. I can provide indexes. So these indexes will these indexes will declare the element position inside a particular array. The element position inside a particular array. Now, the element position inside this array is indicated with the help of indexes. Now, how to write all these indexes? Let me tell you a basic thing about index. The index always starts with 0. The index always starts with 0. That means if I take an array and if I think of positions of various elements inside array, definitely it will start with 0 and the subsequent numbering will be given accordingly. Now, depending upon that, can anyone tell me which is the index 0 element in the first array?
It's a
Red.
red.
Red, sir.
It's
It's
a
red.
red, which is the
Red,
index
sir.
element, and now it will increase, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and depending upon the number of elements, it will remain increase. Now in the second array, if I come fruits, what is the index of mango? Can anyone tell me? If you observe here,
Two, sir.
mango.
It's
Second
two.
one.
Two.
So the
Second.
Two, sir.
index of
Two.
mango is of course
Two.
2.
Two.
Why? Because this is the third element of my array called as fruits, and possibly it will acquire 0, 1, 2. That means 2 is the index of this array. Okay. Now, this is indexes of a particular array. Now, if I focus on the last index of any array, if I focus on last index of any array, so if I focus on the cities array, if I focus on the cities array, can anyone tell me what is the index of New York? What is the
Two,
index of
two,
New
Two.
sir.
York?
Two,
Yes,
sir.
the
Two. Two,
index
sir.
of New York is 2. That means the last index here is 2. The last index here is 2. And if last index is 2, if last index is 2, that means possibly there are 3 elements. If last index is 8, then how many elements are there?
Nine.
Nine elements.
Nine.
Yes, there are 9 elements. So if last index is 8, that means there are 9 elements. Always remember one thing about index. What is the length of your array? What is the length of your array? Minus 1 is index for your last member, right? Length of array minus 1, that will be your last index. That will be your last index. Now, in the same context, suppose I have members. Suppose I have 10 members in 10 members in a particular array. What is the last index?
Nine.
Nine.
Yes,
Nine.
last index will be 9, of course,
Nine.
correct. Absolutely correct. Because we are going to start with 0. So, of course, if 10 members, last index will be 9. If we are going to start with, if there are 5 members, 0 to 4, the last index will be 4. So, always remember length minus 1 and you will get the last index. And first index is always 0. First index is always 0. Now, if I have to create an array of, if I have to create an array of numbers, now these are probably string kind of arrays. So suppose I create an array of numbers. Okay, so I have to write where keyword. Again, I have to write any name of the particular array. And after the name, I can assign members. Now, if I write where numbers, and possibly after that I write 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Always remember you have to end a statement with a semicolon, and possibly in a square bracket we have to write all these members, okay, separated by a comma, separated by a particular comma. Now, how many members are there in numbers array?
Five.
Five.
Yes.
Five, sir.
Yes, there are 5 members in numbers array, and these 5 members are all numbers. These 5 members are all numbers. Now, the index for 1 is 0, and index for 5 is, of course, 4. 5 minus 1, that is 4. So, 4 is my last index, 0 is my first index. 4 is my last index, and 0 is my first index. So, this is how I can think of a particular array, let it be numbers array or strings array or anything. Now, there is yet another question that raises to my mind, and that question is, if I want to mix element, if I want to mix elements, suppose from number category and from string category. Now, carefully observe the last array, which is called as person. Are you able to see that person array?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, in this person array, can anyone tell me what are the members? First one is John, second one is Vic, and what is the last member here?
32. It's a
Number.
Thirty-two.
number.
32.
It's a
It's a
number.
number.
It's
It's
a
a
number.
number. So it's a mixture of arrays. Array is a mixture of certain strings and a number.
Numbers.
So this possibility is a little bit different. This array is a little bit different. And this different array, this sort of different array suggests that I can have such kind of mixture. I can have such kind of mixture. So the mixture is possible here. See, the mixture is possible here. And if it is going to be a mixture, I can write strings, undefined members, or numbers all together. That is quite possible. And that's why the last member is written something like this. That's why the last member written something like this. Now, if I move ahead and I try to find out how to access elements, how to access elements of this array. Now, suppose there is another interesting array which is called as fruits, or you can imagine any particular array. This array has certain members like index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and probably I would like to access these members. Probably I would like to access these members. And if I wish to access these members, now I have to write these particular index number. With indexes, I can access all these members. Now, what is the meaning of this statement written here? What is the meaning of this statement written here? Document, which is a super class of everyone. Write is an inbuilt method which will write things over web page directly. We know that. And possibly this fruits in bracket 0. This 0 indicates the index. Now carefully observe what is the member available at index 0. It is, what is
Apple.
the member?
Apple.
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 So the Apple member is available at index 0. So it will print on a particular web page the answer as Apple. Similarly, you can print 1. Similarly, you can print 2. Similarly, you can print any particular member by directly accessing the index of that particular array. Inside that square bracket, you have to write the member index. And once the index is written, the related member will display. So this is the basic arrangement that I have. Okay. Now we can write array things inside array. We can access array elements like this. Possibly we can perform certain arithmetic operation over your arrays as well. Now we can have arrays in two different groups, right? Either a one-dimensional array or multi-dimensional arrays. Multi-dimensional array means possibly we can have two-dimensional, three-dimensional, or four-dimensional arrays like this. We can have all these kind of things. But possibly two-dimensional arrays, if we focus on, it will follow a structure of a table. Table means it will follow the row and column kind of structure. And depending upon the row numbers and depending upon the column numbers, we can usually write the cell and its index. First index is a row, second index is column. Possibly we can add them up, and after adding them up, we will create a kind of an index which is row comma column, row comma column. Once you create that, it will indicate a cell, and a proper member at that particular cell will be displayed. So this is a kind of a table structure. It will create a kind of a table structure. So this is two-dimensional array. In fact, with two-dimensional arrays also we can perform all these activities that we have just seen. All right. So this is basic in terms of your arrays, which is a reference data type in your JavaScript. Okay, we have already seen basic data types. Now this is a reference data types arrays. So possibly how to add it, how to access members, what are indexes and other sort of things. We have seen these basic things. So anyone, any doubt regarding this? Anyone has any doubt? You can ask regarding this.
Sir, in one-dimensional array, can we add any multi-dimensional?
In one-dimensional array, can we?
Can we add
Can we
any
add? Yes, of course. You can add things in one-dimensional array also. Suppose we have two different arrays. Suppose we have two different arrays. Suppose one is, I'll call this particular as a first, and suppose it has three different members. It has three different members, 1, comma 2, comma 3. And suppose after that, I have another array which is called as second, and it has members like 4 comma 5 comma 6. Okay, so possibly we can add members at first and second. You have to take one index, and that index will run from 0 to 2, and it will position wise add first and second members. Okay, so not only addition, subtraction, multiplication and division also possible with two different arrays, right? Anyone else wants to ask anything, you can
The,
ask.
can add two array with different composition? One has three element, another has four.
Yes, if you try to add all such kinds of array, but possibly you should think about one particular thing. Now, if one particular array has a few members and other has more than the size of that, okay, so how the other possible members will get add? Are you able to understand? The other possible members will have no position to add with the members, or it has no members to add in there. Okay, it has no members to add in there, so the size is different. So the size is different, so possibly we can add with same size, and you can figure out that particular thing, what will exactly you will get whenever you try to add something like this. Yes, Prashant, you want to ask something?
Can we make a array of a object?
Yes, we can have array of objects also. We can have array of objects also, but probably we have to discuss objects before that, right? So we are in the basics of arrays. We will discuss all these sort of arrays, and probably then we can find out how to add different objects, right? Object is also one of the kind of data type, and we can add different objects. And depending upon all these objects, we can think of how to create array of object also. Probably if you go to Java, there also we have objects of a class, right? There also we have objects of a class, and probably we can add up all those. We can create a kind of array of all those class objects also in Java. Okay, anyone else wants to ask anything else?
Sir, can
Sir,
we add
can
Yes, yes, one.
making statements in array?
Yes, we can add a loop making statement. Suppose I can add a kind of a for loop. Suppose I can add a kind of for loop. So what will happen with for loop? With for loop, we can possibly create a kind of an index. We can start with 0, and then we can possibly, depending upon the length of the array, we can go till the end. And if we go till the end of the array, you can take the members from first array and members from second array, and index wise you can add them. Right? Like you can simply add in this particular array. Suppose I have to write, you will add first in bracket the index, and you can simply add second in bracket index, Okay, so this will simply create a kind of understanding that I'm trying to add members. So it will add first member of first, second member of first member of the second array, and index wise it will add all these things all together. So it will add things index wise. And probably if you are on console.log, it will print on console. Probably if you are on web, it will go to document.write. You can print first and second, and the addition, index wise addition of them over web page. Both things are possible. Yes, Pavni?
Sir, in the array we can add any sort of data, or there is only some sort of data we want to add. Is there any restriction to that?
See, there is no restriction, and probably we have seen that there is a kind of mixture even that you can create, right? So index wise element I can add. Probably if you want to have similar type of data type in an array, possible. If you want to have mixture of all of them, even that is you are able to see possible. And probably if you want to add up things like that, just we have got the question that whether objects, as I said, even that particular sort of thing is also possible. Okay, but right now we have just started with the topic. I'll show you how to do all these things. Yes, Akshay?
sir, we can perform other operations like division, multiplication, and subtraction in array.
Yes, we can perform all these operations, but whenever we are performing all these operations with numbers, that's okay, that's fine, we'll get a result. Okay, but try to understand if you are performing all these operations with other sort of data types like string and other kind of data types, right? So probably they have no provision to have that division and something like that. Probably you can concat string, that is the only operation you can perform with addition. But if you think like subtraction and multiplication and division, probably it will say that it is not a kind of an number, or not a kind of a possible thing. It will suggest regarding that, and it will probably show you that sort of a result. All right. So I believe we are done with all these sort of questions, and this is a wonderful session on the basics of arrays. Later we will discuss all these things in much more depth, and we will try to figure out how we can think of multidimensional arrays or the other possibilities which are possible with the help of arrays or the other kind of reference data types. All right. So all okay? Can we stop here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much, guys. Thank you.